Today's Beyond the Gates BTG daily recap is for Wednesday, March the 26th, 2025. Well, Bill tries to kind of brush Naomi off, saying, sweetheart, you could have handled this in a much better way. Instead of doing this, you should have come to me. See? And then I could have looked into it and seen if it had merit. And I could have handled it appropriately. She goes, this is your law firm. And these women have been terminated and they were exemplary employees, good at their job. And you just didn't notice? He goes, I'll see if it has merit. Oh, well, your HR department didn't seem to think it had merit. He goes, I don't manage employees. I, deal with billable hours and running this company. I didn't know. She goes, you're trying to say you don't know the kind of person that Mike is? And she said his last name. She says, after doing some research, I find the majority of the high profile clients that have been brought in over the recent years, Mike is the one that brought them in. Mm. Your firm has benefited from his activities. So, is that what happened? Because he's making the firm money, you decided to just look the other way. And he's just looking at her. And he goes, I'm telling you, I did not know. And she says, well, a lot of your female employees had issues, but you didn't feel they had merit. That sounds like a pattern to me. And he goes, careful. You're making it sound like this is not about the case, that this is about your personal life. And she goes, well, actually, in your personal life, you feel like a woman had no merit. And you did the same thing in your business life. So I kind of think personal and business, they do tie in. And he's just looking like, oh my goodness. And he goes, Haley, dude, you need to stop this. You need to rescind this brief without precedent, of course, meaning you can't even bring it up again. And we will sit down and we will discuss this the way it should be. She goes, well, I tell you what, I will see you in court. And before he said that, he goes, let me tell you something, sweetheart. And she says, oh, ooh, ooh, you might not want to use that language in court. It's not going to go well, especially in a case such as this. And he's just smug. And so then when she says, I'll see you in court, and she turns and she walks out, and he looks, but the funny thing, everybody, is the look on Bill Hamilton's face was almost like, ooh, I taught that girl well. Mm. Now that's a chip off my own block. He sat back in his chair and he kind of leaned back and he's thinking, I'm thinking, oh, he's actually, even though he knows, he doesn't want to because he does know. Because she goes, there's no way you don't know the kind of person Mike Smith is. And actually, Tomas hadn't left the room. And she goes, and once your other employees are deposed, and she looked at Tomas, she goes, they know exactly Mike's reputation. Wonder what they're going to say. And Bill nodded at Tomas, like, go ahead and go. So Tomas walks out, right? Uh huh. He knows Naomi is the perfect person to come after him. I was actually very, very pleased with the way that went. So now, guess who did have the nerve, summoned the nerve to tell her mother she quit modeling, right? Danny did not lose it. Danny says, "Wait, why would you quit modeling?" She goes, "Mom, that was your dream. It's not mine. That was your passion. I didn't want to hurt you." She goes, "But you've been planning this. Why would you not?" She goes, "You spent the night with me over the past few months a lot, and we stayed up all night talking, and you never mentioned this." She says, "Mom, because of what you were going through with dad, I did not want to pile this onto you either, this as well. So, no, I never found the time. I was actually scared." And Danny looked at her. She goes, "You were scared I was going to fall apart, weren't you?" And she says, "Yeah, that's part of it. But I know how much you've poured into my career." She says, "And I didn't want to disappoint you, but I'm a designer." And she told her about Chelsea and how Chelsea even has a major brand interested in partnering with their company. And she goes, "But I'm not." I told Kat told Chelsea that. And she says, "But I told Kat, no, I'm not ready for that. We're not ready for that. I want to grow this from the ground up." And she says, "And it's working, Mom. We're getting deals. I mean, the designs, I can't wait to show you." And she just went on and on. And so she looked at Danny. She goes, "But you know what?" She reached over to grab the contract. She goes, 3 years really isn't that long a time. I guess I could push things back for 3 years." And so Danny reached up and took the contract out of Chelsea's hand and she ripped it in half. She says, "You told me you were done with modeling." She goes, "But I could deal with 3 years." And Danny says, "No, you are not. You are going to live your dream and do your passion." She says, "I remember what your grandmother, how she reacted when I wanted to branch off and break away. I remember, oh, she made it hard." She says, "I'm not going to do that for you, to you." She says, "My mother was scared." She's like, "I was only 17 and I was leaving home, moving away to a whole new city by myself." And I did. So she says, Chelsea says, "Well, look, I'm not leaving, moving to another city, right?" And Chelsea's older. So anyway, she goes, "No, Chelsea, baby, I'm here to support you. And I just hate the fact that you didn't think I would." So she hugs her, and Nicole had walked in and she saw the exchange. And I guess Nicole kept going into the dining room area. And Danny had left. Chelsea was still there. And Nicole came out and says, "Oh, I saw you and your mother." And she says, "Yeah, I told my mom that I was done with modeling and Kat and I are starting our own business." See, now Nicole knew Kat's dreams, what Kat was gonna do. And so she goes, how did my sister take it? She goes, "I was surprised. I thought it was gonna be so much worse." She goes, "But she said she wasn't going to do me like grandma did her." And she goes, "Ooh, that was rough." She said, "But understand it was a different time, Chelsea. We could not readily get a hold of Danny. And Danny was 17 in a whole new city." And Chelsea says, "I could imagine because she didn't even have cell phones back then." She goes, "It would be days, sometimes weeks, before Danny would remember to call home. So my mother was always worried and on pins and needles." And so Chelsea says, "Wow, I hadn't, really thought about how it was." She goes, But for Chelsea to support you, I'm really happy about that. So, I mean, for Danny to support you. So Danny goes home, of course, and they showed the outside of her house. The outside of her house is gorgeous, even though I could have swore they showed the outside of that house as Bill and Haley's house at one point in time. But they showed the outside of Danny's house, and they also showed the outside of Bill and Haley's house, which is completely different. Bill and Haley's house looked bigger. Well, they didn't show the whole thing, but just the part they showed of the outside of Bill and Haley's house, it looks bigger than Danny's house. So Bill comes home early, but let me stay with Danny. Danny comes home, of course. She takes that picture of her when she was young on the cover of the magazine, and she was saying, that was such a long time ago. You had the fashion world by storm. Everybody wanted you, from the designers to the. She's just reminiscing, but she has her glass of vodka. She had already drank almost half the bottle. Mm-hmm. See? And she was sitting on her couch. She poured herself some more, and she was looking at the picture, and then she puts the picture on the coffee table. Well, Nicole is coming through the side door. Danny doesn't hear her. And Danny was just kind of leaned back, and she reaches over and she grabs her glass of vodka and she's sipping it, just kind of looking alone, aimlessly alone, like kind of like what Andre told Nicole. And Nicole is just looking at her like, she's not doing that well. So we'll see how that conversation goes tomorrow. I'm actually very interested in that. Now, the good news is Smitty and Martin were at Orphy Jeans getting ready to eat. And Martin notices the guy that had the job offer for Smitty being an investigative reporter. He saw him up at the front counter looking at a menu. So he picks up the menu and he's trying to hide his face, and he's trying to, because he don't want the guy to see him. And Smitty is looking at him like, why's he got that menu up like that? So then he kind of looks, glances there to the right, and he goes, oh my goodness, Evan, come here, Evan. So he goes, hey, Smitty, how you been? I'm so happy to run into you. And he goes, that job is still open. And Smitty's looking like, what job? No, that investigative reporter job is still open. And Smitty looked and he goes, and he kind of glances at Martin across the table. Martin's looking. And he goes, now I know. Martin said, you're not interested in going back to work right now. But I just want you to know that the job is yours if you want it. And Smitty looked across and he goes, oh, so Martin told you I wouldn't be interested. And there was like this hurt with a mix of anger look on Smitty's face. And Martin is looking at this. Oops. Uh, don't be mad. See, because Smitty was already in his behind at home about wanting to run for president and not even telling him. And then Martin smoothed that away, right? And now he finds out what Martin tried to just, what do you call it, sandbagging? Oh, we'll see what Smitty does. If he don't tell the guy right now, no, you know what? I'm interested. I'll be in tomorrow to see you. Or you know what? You're going to be in your office in an hour. I'll catch you there. Right? But oh, Martin's going to have a reckoning, and I can't wait, because now Smitty is angry, hurt and angry that he had the nerve to try to gaslight him. So that's going to be real good. I mean, it was a good episode today, everybody. It was really, really good. That's it. Let's see. Let's go to comment corner. Comment corner. There are a few comments. Let me see. Let me get my Beyond the Gate comments. Here we go. We have The top says Boop Po Boop says, "Hi, Daily Recap Lady. I live in Tampa, and both GH and BTG are airing at the same time. I watch GH live and record BTG. Um, After GH, then I watch BTG directly after. I'm retired, so I could do that. Sorry, GH will always be the number one for me. I understand because I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I'm not saying Beyond the Gates because I'm liking Beyond the Gates. I'm not saying they won't give GH a run for his money, but it's going to be difficult running at the same time. Claire says, I watch both GH and BTG. I watch GH on Hulu and BTG on Paramount. I can't watch them live because I'm at work. See, I don't watch live anyway. I don't want to see commercials. Plus, I don't like watching commercials. I'm with you, Claire. I pay extra for Hulu, so I don't have to watch them. I think BTG, uh, it is a good soap. I hope they renew for many seasons to come. I kinda glad they're switching Ted. I personally don't think he's a good fit match for Nicole. Danny needs help. Vodka for breakfast. Martin for president. All the Dupree secrets will come out. I think Mother Dupree had an affair too. That's funny. Daddy Dupree uh, had few and extra. Stay tuned. Uh-oh, had a few and extra. We'll see. We shall see. Right? And then we have, let's see, Just K. Just K says, I agree, Daily Recap Lady. It's hard for people to watch GH and BTG after watching. Oh, no, no, I read that. I read that already. And then, did I read that? Nope, I didn't read it. And GT, you watch GH on Hulu. You're too lazy to pay for Paramount, so you watch BTG on the CBS app. It is free with 60-second commercial ads in between. It's on the CBS app at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so that's a hint for everybody who's wondering. Okay, if you have cable, and usually if you have access to channel 2, then for with your cable provider, you should be able to download the CBS app. They're going to ask you to put in your cable provider, and you have to sign in like you sign into your cable account, and you'll have access. Great comment, Jess K. Great tip. And it's free because Paramount Plus you have to pay for. When the ads come on, I walk away and do something. Um, like I would when I had cable and come back. That's right. Who sits there and watches those commercials? It's my way of showing support for BTG. I like BTG. So far, it's an it is intriguing, and they rotate characters well so far. Just K says, Mike is NSFW, not safe for work. That's what it is. I couldn't figure out what that acronym they were saying. I think Mike went out with Haley because uh, this is the second time he brought her up to Bill. Remember, one lady said she was up for the promotion, but didn't get it because she would not go out with Mike. So the promotion went to Haley. I love Tomas. He is a good well-rounded character. He told Mike not to bring him into that crap. And he always had a sympathetic ear for Bill. Tomas is my favorite male character so far. I think Danny will be upset, but will understand Chelsea not wanting to model anymore. However, she will drink more, and since Vernon knows she's drinking in the AM, maybe he'll talk to her. Smitty should cover Naomi's case. I know, wouldn't that be good? I think he will do a good story for the victims to not get lost in the noise with the media. I hope Naomi wins against Bill. I hope we get court scenes as well. Well, we'll see what their budget is like. And then Richard says, another great review, Daily Recap Lady. Good to hear from you, Richard. Um, and then we have Wendy. Wendy says, I enjoyed the show. I like the fashions, the set designs, and the acting is very good. I thought Eva's mom was nuts. She she is, but so is Eva, going after Kat's brand new man, and she might get him for a minute and might tell some business he may get from Kat or Bill. What do you mean he might tell some business? I don't trust him or Kat's dad. Her mother is clueless. Danny needs rehab, where she might find another young tender. I'll be watching. And then Lucy says the stories are going way out beyond the gates. And then Black Purple Turquoise, I'm going to read a paragraph of yours. You says one of the very For one, I am very glad Naomi took the case of the three women who got fired from Bill's firm over their allegations of harassment. Now, more than before, with how he basically gave Mike a slap on the wrist, and that was all, saying, don't talk like this here in the office. Um, any of our female workers or colleagues have heard you and may wait could have heard you and would not have found your jokes funny. Tells me he and a few others, including Thomas, have known about him for a while. Yes, they have. That man has been a sleaze from the first comments he made. And what a sleaze he is. Of course, he could care less about the people negatively affected and hurt by this whole mess. He's just worried about the bottom line and what success and how successful his little firm will remain. Mind you, he got it because of the Duprees, but he hasn't even fired him. You're talking about Bill hasn't fired Mike after all this time because he is such a good lawyer. Yep, that is so true. And then he says, shows his priorities are what they are truly, and they're not pretty. I was glad Naomi was there when he got served those papers, and is fighting for the women on their behalf. Can't wait to see her really earn her rank as a good attorney and take down her own father once and for all. Uh, when all said and done. Yep, that's true. And then Jess K says, I wouldn't mind Tomas on the stand when Naomi asks questions. Tomas knows how Mike is, and Bill told Tomas about how he wanted to let Mike go, but he didn't because he's a good lawyer. And he good lawyer. He didn't, so Bill had an idea of the kind of man Mike is, but chooses money over the safety of his employees. All right, that's it for Comment Corner. That's all the comments. Excellent comments. Excellent comments. I will be back tomorrow for another daily recap of Beyond the Gates.